I am no expert on Pendragon.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be fumbling my way through the rules as much as anyone might.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't really matter, I think, what edition we've got, although for the record, here we're talking about this fine thing. Um, Now, I have an opponent. I don't know if you have a knight.
I do.
Excellent. Thank God. I
I
was
just found one.
wondering if.
I Yeah, I managed to find a character for Pendragon, and I did not find one for Shadow of yesterday, but I made one for Circle of Hands, and that was all
Oh,
about all the time I had.
excellent. Okay, yeah. I have the one for one of the example characters in Shadow of Yesterday will be easy to use, depending.
Cool.
Um, if we want, we could leave off my ego and just move straight to Kinfolk after the first two.
I'm down for whatever.
Yeah.
I definitely like.
Well,
I
let's see.
definitely found
Sorry, go ahead.
what you had to say about. I found in our emails what you had to say about decisiveness interesting enough that I'm curious about
Okay.
what these can teach me. So
Okay,
let me
so
pull up the character sheets real quick. Sorry.
we could start with the characters on horseback, but in my opinion, that is uh, sort of grown up um, Pendragon to move into the horse rules. So
Mm,
so if it's okay with you, the characters will be unmounted. It
yeah, sounds
tells
good.
us that that a melee round is composed of 5 steps. The first step is called the determination phase. Um, and so it says in the options are fight or do something else. Actions permitted in melee has its own, um, its own category. Um, they aren't particularly difficult. Moving your full movement, um, moving a portion of movement. Interestingly enough, they don't permit trading off movement and action, so any move is a move, and you're done.
Right. Yeah.
And let's see, there's a couple of other things that are all pretty straightforward um, that probably won't concern us particularly. Get up, rearm, um, stuff like that. Not particularly difficult, but um, all right. So I have pulled an NPC from one of the many, many, many Pendragon adventures, and I suspect that you'll die. But
Cool.
we'll find out. Um, so the interesting thing, first of all, is determination phase. So basically, everybody says what they want, and this fellow is um, using their sword to try to murder you. So
Assuming that we both drawn our swords and are facing off, I think I will
that's
try
the
to murder
plan. Yeah,
him.
let's cut right to it and not not clean the restaurant first. And so then it says clearly resolution phase, and you'll note that they both roll their respective modified weapon skills using
Cool. So
opposed.
assuming neither of us have modifiers, we're just rolling against our skill.
Right. And the interesting thing, though, you'll note that everybody just rolls against one another. There's no I go,
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
And so um, the results leave a winner and a loser or two losers. You have to succeed with your own roll, which is your number or less,
Yeah.
and also roll a number that is higher than the opponent's player.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
that's pretty. There's a whole bunch of bullet points after that, but I think it's.
If I roll exactly my skill, it's a critical.
I believe so. We'll double check on. I mean, when we get there, we'll take a look.
Yeah. If that
Um,
happens.
so let's take a look at just what we do. I mean, I assume we're both going to slash at each other with our swords. We have no
Yes.
context, no passions in play at the moment, or anything like that. We might try something like that in a bit. So anyway, I get a success, but not right on.
I rolled above my my skill.
Okay, so we have I have succeeded and you have not succeeded. So let's see here. Winner's phase. The winner rolls his damage. He may also receive a check for experience in the weapon used. That's fine. Let's take a look at the damage, which according to this is 5d6, which is no small amount.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see how armor is operating. Okay, so I rolled some heinous amount, and so I believe the stuff is kind of scattered around. Injury is elsewhere in the.
Yeah, I remember it was like
so
pages later.
Um,
Well, I have chainmail, so it says my armor points is 10.
Oh, okay. So I rolled an 18, which I believe is probably higher than your size. And so, so if the points of damage are equal to or greater than size, you have received a blow which sends him reeling for balance. When unbalanced, the knight must receive a successful dexterity roll. If successful, he does not fall down. If he falls, he takes damage from the fall. Or well, that's if he's fallen out. Or if he's high.
Oh, I rolled exactly my dex.
Okay, so good. You do not fall. You're reeling. Then there's like what happens when you're knocked down, which really sucks, by the way.
I would imagine.
But the interesting point is, so I 18 points, right? So you take minus 10 from that. Do you have a shield as well? Oh, but you can't. The shield won't help because you rolled a failure.
Yes, so, that's right. Oh yeah. You get like your shield if you succeed, but get less than the person.
Exactly. If you succeeded in your roll but lose, then you are still able to use your shield.
All right.
So now, what does? Say that again.
I'm taking eight hit points.
Right, and there's nothing in here, interestingly enough, about hit location.
Yeah.
Unless I'm missing something, but that's one of the interesting. It's one of the least RuneQuesty things about the Pendragon rules. So you have taken this damage, and now we move to the loser's phase. The number subtracted from current hit points, also listed as wounds, compared with Constitution, is 10 greater than your Constitution, or equal, I guess.
No.
Okay, so you are not at risk of a major wound.
Cool.
And current hit points should be compared with the unconscious statistic. Are your current hit points less than your unconscious?
No.
Okay, so you are not knocked out.
Not yet.
Yeah. And then movement phase. Characters who did not fight, blah, blah, blah. Well, I think we're stuck in melee until one of us goes or disengages or something.
Yeah.
Another interesting point is that there is partial move and attack, but they are encapsulated in the special moves. So it's not like a standard option. It's like only in doing that particular move.
Gotcha.
So, all right. I guess we move on. We could be boring and just do that again. We can look at the
tactics.
Right. And then we look at the funky moves and see if you want to do one of those.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
So there's defensiveness. When you do that, you get plus 10 to your weapons. Although the character may be the winner, no hit occurs unless they roll a critical. And that's a regular rather than double damage. And that's it. Basically, I think you do that while your friend is charging to come help you.
So right. I would get plus 10 to my skill if I did that?
You would get plus 10 to your skill, but you're not going to do any damage.
All right, unless I rolled a critical 15 or higher.
Right, in which case, and then you'll get no, is that right for a critical?
I don't remember. Cool, because with the modifiers, it's if you are under but above 20, it's a critical. or
Right.
20 or above.
Okay.
So if my skill was 25,
Right. Let's not worry about that. I don't know what your character's skill is. So,
okay.
so then Berserker attack is more or less the opposite. Um, yeah.
I think I'm going to go for defensiveness. I think that this character is clearly very skilled, and I am in danger of dying,
Okay.
and I have a decent chance of getting some damage off and turning the tables while
Okay.
protecting myself.
So let's do this roll.
Cool.
Roll against each other again.
Nice.
And
Okay, so
go ahead.
This time I succeeded. I succeeded with a high enough roll that I believe that will be a crit.
Excellent. I fail entirely.
Cool. So I do regular damage to you then.
Right.
Cool. All right. Ooh, I rolled pretty well. 17, 23 total damage.
Okay. And what happens to my very beautiful, careful sheet? Ah, there it is. What damage did you say?
23.
23. Okay. And since I failed, I don't get my shield. So that means I'm going to take 11 freaking damage, which is pretty hefty. Which is my major wound is 13, so I'm cool on that. And 11, so that's 28 minus 11 is 18. I am not yet down to my unconscious.
Is knockdown before or after armor? Is subtracts from the
knockdown
HP
is
taken.
before armor.
So that's probably you have to check for knockdown in the loser's phase.
And so yeah, same thing. You know, that's kind of interesting. That's rather a dramatic reversal you just pulled. So so I need to roll my dexterity or less. I fail. You have knocked him down with a spectacular, a spectacular hit. And
my gambit.
Yeah, very much so. And now knockdown, of course, is very very bad, basically. And there's a place a little bit further back which tells me all my problems. But I think that's it for the loser's phase. And then we have our movement phase again. I'm a little unclear on certain movement phase actions, but I'm not going to worry about it. Well, I know he is knocked down and therefore is going to have to try to regain his feet by standing up, and then that is an action of its own. But I'm kind of curious as to what defensiveness is possible. Get up from the ground while fighting, suffering a reflexive modifier of that's it. Okay. I still get to roll for my weapon, but I have a -5 attack and +5 defense while I do it. So that's kind of interesting. A lot of knocking down and getting up and covering yourself and stuff like that going on here, right? So so all right, let's, in that case, I presume you're pressing the attack as I try to get up, right?
Is the Berserker attack, is it minus? Does it give you a minus modifier?
No, the Berserker attack actually is pretty generous. The problem is the risk. And it actually would be probably a pretty good option at this point. It goes like this. First of all, the enemy gets to attack first, which in my case is my roll, but it's -5. And if he hits, he does damage normally. If the Berserker is conscious and on his feet after taking that attack, if he takes it, then you get to attack with a +10.
Interesting. Okay.
So basically, just run onto the guy's sword. But considering with my -5, that's actually not that bad a tactic right now. So you want?
Yeah, I think we'll try that.
Okay, let's do it.